Hello, Namaste, and welcome to Agile Exploration Hub. I am your host, Nagesh Deshpande. First of all, thanks a lot, everyone, all my audience, for overwhelming response on my 50th episode. We really enjoyed. We really want to say thanks uh, from bottom of my heart to all the audience. As usual, on every weekends we record, on every Monday we brought a new episode. Now, on today's episode is going to be a favorite episode of everyone. Why? I'll tell you. Because we are going to talk about certifications. So, our today's topic is, do certification really matters, and what hiring managers actually value in agile roles. So, this is what we are going to discuss today. To speak on this topic, we have a new guest, Subhabrata Chattopadhyay. He is a agile practitioner, more than 17 years experience in the IT industry, with an international experience delivering enterprise technology initiative across banking, fintech, telecom, infotainment, digital transformation across the globe. Now, with such a wide range of experience, and he's currently working with a very big global bank, so his expertise will definitely going to help our audience. So, without wasting much time, let's welcome Subhabrata. Hey, Subhabrata, let's welcome Subhabrata. Hey, Subhabrata, welcome.
Hi, Nagesh. Hi to all your audience, and thanks for this wonderful introduction.
So,
Really
how are
honored
you
to be
doing?
here. Doing well,
Great.
thank you.
Okay. So, to my audience, as you can see from the background of Subhabrata, we are shooting this episode on Independence Day. So, wishing every Indian across the globe a very happy Independence Day. So, Subhabrata, we will start our discussion now.
All right.
So, before moving on to
Mm-hmm.
our question and answers, I would request all the audience, those who are watching this episode, please subscribe to my channel, add a comment, what topic you want to hear from us, what discussion you would like to hear, please add it in the comment. So let's not waste much time and let's jump into our today's discussion. So, Brata, certification is something which is, a very, very
Mm-hmm.
delicate topic. Few
Yeah.
people really wants to do certification. Few people really avoid talking about it. I know many people who has like more than 20, 30 certifications. Even I
Mm-hmm.
have certification, but I have my own perspective about that certification, which we'll discuss in the during the our episode. But I would like to understand how important agile certifications when
Mm-hmm.
there is a hiring for an leadership role in currently or today's world right now.
Right. A very interesting question, Nagesh, and a good point to start our discussion. And even like you, as you said, even I have a few certifications, both in project management as well as in the agile domain. And for me, a certification is much more than a badge which you can flaunt it in LinkedIn or in your resume. For me, certification gives you a structure to your learning. It forces you to learn the topic inside out. Let's say when we are working in an organization or with a project, any organization picks a framework. It can be any framework. It can be Scrum, it can be Kanban, it can be SAFe. And then on top of that framework, they apply their company's culture, their business's DNA, the environment of the customer with which you are working. And then it adapts to that. And then as an practitioner, you follow that particular framework or that particular practice. But when you are working for the certification or when you are learning from this certification, you are understanding that topic in its purest form. And
Right.
when you learn that and when you understand that, you are in a position to become a change maker. When you see something which is not going as per the way it should, then you are in a position to suggest those kind of changes. And it's your responsibility as a senior professional, as a mid-level professional, to suggest changes and be a catalyst to that change. And now
Absolutely.
let and now let's think from a hiring manager's perspective on what they probably think about the certifications. See, these roles, be it a Scrum Master role, an Agile Program Manager role, or an Agile Coach role, these are not entry-level roles. So they are
Hmm.
perhaps not looking for somebody who just has the certification, because with certification you would have theoretical knowledge. But then they want to know if you are agile in your mind, if you have that
Mm.
agile mindset, if you can work with the team in a true servant leader mode, can you be a catalyst for the mindset shift for your organization? So, I mean, if I have to sum up the entire topic, I would say that certification is a powerful foundation. But then on
Absolutely.
top of that, you have to build your skills so that you become more effective in your organization.
Absolutely. Very well explained. Absolutely. I loved it. So the point, you know, I may be reiterating what you said. I will
Hmm.
rephrase it in my way. So I have this experience in one of the interviews for Scrum Master. Hiring manager did ask me, what will be your approach in one specific situation? So I put it on a whiteboard saying that I will adopt this way of execution to solve this, try to solve this problem. This is one of the ways. And it was pretty much new for him. He said,
Right.
I never heard this kind of technique. And where did you learn it?
Hmm.
So that's why I flaunt my certification. So I said, I'm a
Makes
certified in this area. That's why I know this technique. And now I can implement it into my work also. So it becomes for him, the value of certification immediately changed. His way of looking at certification was immediately changed.
right. Interesting.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic now.
Hmm.
Now, uh, what skill often, outweigh certifications in agile role interviews? So we just discussed one interview experience, but
Hmm.
like any specific skills that often outweigh.
All right. So let's see. I mean, real hands-on experience that outweighs everything else. Certifications are amazing, but a real hands-on experience outweighs everything. Let's take an example. Okay, let's take an example of a Scrum Master. A Scrum
Mm.
Master who has worked day in and day out on multiple sprints, you don't need a certification to tell you how valuable that 15 minutes of daily Scrum is, because he has seen its value. He has seen how he or she could identify roadblocks in those 15 minutes, and he could have found those points which could have probably derailed the entire sprint. But because he religiously had those sprints, he was able to navigate through those. For example, he understands the value of having the entire team in a sprint planning meeting, because somewhere he would have heard from the back a team member explaining the rationale why he's estimating, and he would have identified a corner case which the entire team might have missed. That would have saved a lot of efforts. A scrum master would never I mean a practicing scrum master would never miss a sprint review, not because the scrum guide tells him to, because he understands how valuable that customer feedback is and how that can save him months of efforts, because your customer has given you the right feedback at the right time and you can incorporate that in the change. So these are all the hard skills. Now let's come to the soft skills. Empathy, earning trust, inspiring. No certification can teach you that. Stakeholder management.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, there is no certification which can teach you that. When the priorities get conflicting, when there is a stakeholder disagreement between stakeholders, how to be calm under that situation. Again, certifications can't teach you that. When to accommodate a change, when to push back on a change. It's again practice your day in, day out. When you put in the hard yards, that's where you'll earn those skills. Yeah. So
Absolutely. That's really really true. That's how. So some of the things you will not learn in any certification. It will only come by experience, practice. That's all. So now, moving on to next question.
mhm,
Um, I personally have seen
mhm,
people are getting jobs without any certifications, and I often
right.
get this question from my mentees that Nagesh, is it
Mhm,
possible to get any job without certification? What's your views on
mhm. Okay, so
that?
again, I have a slightly different take than you, because I, in reality, have seen very few candidates get jobs without certification. And it is not because the candidate is not good, it is because this is how the hiring game is. The
Right.
initial filter, most often than not, is through an application tracking system or ATS and not through human. And I don't blame the system. We have a large pool of applicants. Let's face it. And when you have a large pool of applicants, you need some sort of filters. And certifications, as it turns out, is a very easy filter to put in. And if you think about it, that is one of the advantages of having a certification. You get through that hurdle, you get through that
Right.
ATS or an automated system. But then once you sit across the table, certifications won't get you from there. That's where your
Mm.
hard skills, your soft skills, your domain knowledge, your quick wit, your personality takes over. And that those are the things which make you stand out. I really wish that there was a better way to spot talents, spot interesting candidates, talented candidates who don't have certifications. I really wish that there was a better way, but I mean, unfortunately, that's the time that we live in. So, I mean, if I have one message, then it would be, I mean, don't think of certification as a magic ticket, but think of it
Mm.
as a key to the door. And once you enter the door, then you can show what your real worth is and what you are capable of.
Right. So that key remains on the door. You cannot carry
Yes,
it inside.
exactly, exactly.
Well, nice analogy of door and keys. Yeah, that's one. Okay, but now you once enter the door. Now you
Mm-hmm.
saw the interview panel or hiring manager who was sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does he assess, your real experience and certification qualification? How does it make the gaps, or how did he, um, you know, assess the real world experience versus paper qualification?
Interesting. All right. So let me put on the hat of a hiring manager or a recruiter for this question. So when I am hiring, I would not never ask a candidate to recite the Agile Manifesto. I really don't care if he can recite the Agile Manifesto from his memory. But I would ask him a question, and I would try to gauge when the plan went out of the window. What did he do? Did he respond to the change, or did it stick to the process? I would never ask him what exactly. Can you please tell me what extreme programming is? I would not ask him that, but I would try. In his answers, I would try to understand if he ever encouraged pair programming, if he sees value in pair programming, in what context he encouraged, and what were the outcomes he got out of it. Did it help him in getting his team cross trained? Did it improve his code quality? These are the things which I would try to gauge. I would probably give him a scenario, throw him a scenario where there was a change fatigue. You have multiple reorgs in your organization and your team is demotivated, clueless, they don't know. How did you inspire them? And that tells me what your worth is. That tells me how good of a servant leader that you are. When you have conflicting priorities, I would paint him a scenario of two conflicting priorities and then how quickly he can think on his feet, how quick-witted he is, how smart he is. So in short, I am looking for the depth in your stories. I want to know your real experience. I want to know who you are behind all those flashy certificates. That is what I want to know in a candidate.
Absolutely right. Now, uh, you put it very nicely. Uh,
Mhm,
the way the situation being handled is crucial in your experience. Okay, you may not be. So I'll share my experience. So in one of the
mhm,
interview asked me about Tuckman model.
mhm.
Okay, Tuckman's model,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was suddenly got blanked, and I couldn't remember it at all. But in one of my answer, I explained him the exact process. Okay,
exactly.
and at the end, he gave me the feedback that even though you forgot the name, but you have implemented that process into your previous experience. That's what I can see. So that's how, so uh, it may happen that you don't know the theory, you might have implemented it, and at
Mhm,
that point of time, so always remember what you have implemented and try to, link it to this Agile Manifesto, four values or the Scrum values and all those things. So this is my take on it. Uh, that
absolutely.
remember what exactly. And another thing is try to understand the question, the rationale, or the thought process of a person who is asking this question.
Yeah.
Don't try to jump and immediately start answering it. Okay. So if you see that the person is asking question, feel free to, in exchange, feel free to ask written
Mm,
questions to get the things on more clarity. So
yeah.
these are my
Context is
take.
very important. Yes.
Context is very important, rightly
Yeah.
mentioned, Shubham. So now, Uh, Now this is what I already mentioned few mistakes that people are making. But
Mm-hmm.
now, what are the common mistakes that people make during these discussions, and sometimes they over rely on the certifications. But what are
Mm-hmm.
the common mistakes do you see people making?
All right. So there are a few candidates who measure their worth in the number of certifications that they have.
Hmm.
Because I
Right.
have a certain certification, the industry owes me something, the organization owes me something. They treat certifications as their trophies. But let's
Hmm.
see what a certification tells a recruiter. It tells you that you have studied a concept good enough to answer 50 or 100 multiple choice questions. It tells the recruiter that you know the theory, you know the concept, but can you implement that when the heat is turned on? Because the real world is way messier than your certification questions. The real world is way messier than any case study that you can get. Priorities change overnight. You have got budget cuts. You have got stakeholders, disagreeing left, right, and center. You have got customers bombing new requirements 2 days before your sprint deadline. At that point, nobody cares how well you did in your certification, whether you were in the 95th percentile or 99th percentile. Nobody cares. Can you keep calm?
Absolutely.
Can you adapt? Do you know when to push back? Do you know when to accommodate? Do you know how to convince your stakeholders? Do you know how to inspire your team when they are demotivated? When your team members don't see eye to eye? When your team members are fighting? How do you make peace? How do you still, I mean, despite of all the situations, how do you navigate towards that common goal? That is where a candidate's real worth is. And then, I mean, I'll tell you, Nagesh, some of the very, very senior candidates, very seasoned candidates who are certified, I have seen that they become very rigid to the framework. They become framework first, not
Absolutely.
problem first. For example, Scrum has worked for me for the last 5 years. Doesn't mean that it would work for me in the next project. I mean, I would go ahead and say there are projects where you don't need agile. Good old waterfall might work on some
Absolutely.
situations. So you don't need to be
Absolutely.
crusaders of Scrums, crusaders of Safe. Just see what the problem is. And then you find solutions to that problem, not just flaunt whatever you have learned, whatever you are certified in, and don't try to force fit that. So these are some of the mistakes I have seen in I mean entry level candidates and some in even senior experienced
Seniors
candidates.
also made.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to my audience, Shubhabrata brought a lot of insights on that. I will add one point here. No certification will tell you the real-time experience handling multiple cultures,
Yes.
right? So you are working in your team. We are in
Hmm.
multi-diverse country, first of all. So Indian, you might have a team member right from Tamil Nadu to Rajasthan, or even from some northeast state like Mizoram. I have
Hmm.
worked with all kind of people. Apart from that, there might be a team member who is from France, who is from Italy. This will be a real-time experience. No certification will tell you how to navigate with this kind of work environment. So that will hold more value than your certification if you have that experience, and if you are able to explain that in this kind of multi-diverse culture I was able to do daily scrum in a in a proper fashion, or in a
Yeah.
standard practice way, that will hold more experience. So you always remember, don't make these mistakes. Don't over rely on your certifications.
Hmm.
Great.
Interesting.
So thanks. Okay. And now we discussed about entry level. We also discussed a little bit on
Hmm.
experienced people, but I still want to hear about your opinion or your advice to
Hmm.
mid-career professionals who are unsure about investing in certification. So I'll start with me. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
still not sure to invest in some specific certifications yet.
Right. Hmm.
So what's your take? What your advice will be?
Okay. So if you are a mid-level career professional and if you are on the fence on where you should go for it or not, I would suggest go for it. And go for it
Mhm.
for the right reasons. Go for it with a learning mindset, not a salary mindset. Don't go for it because if I complete this certification, I'll get a 30% salary hike. That's a wrong reason to do it. Try to gain that knowledge, try to implement, translate those learnings into your real life situation, and try to improve your project outcomes, your program outcomes based on those learnings. That's the right reason to do for it. And second, use certifications to be a rounded professional. What I mean by it is, let's say most of us agile professionals get to work only on a slice of agile at work. If I take my example, I have been working on safe for quite some time. Previously I worked on scrum, a little bit on kanban, but I never got an opportunity to work on, let's say, disciplined agile or LESs. So if you want to get those understanding, if you want to add those skills in your toolkit, I mean, by all means, go for those certifications, go for those learnings. That would definitely help you. And finally, I mean, use certifications to plug gaps in your learning. Start by being honest with yourself, what you know, what you are good at, and where you need help. For example, I mean, during COVID times, before that we were into Scrum, and during COVID times I mean, moving from Scrum to Safe. So
Okay.
at that time, I took a decision to I mean, I knew that in 6 months we would be moving to Safe. So I took a decision to go for a Safe certification, not because I wanted to get a better salary or a better hike, but I think that's where the organization is going. And when that transition happens,
Mm.
I want to be in the thick of it. I don't want to look at that transition from an outside lens. I wanted to be a part of that change. I wanted to be a catalyst of that change. So certifications are very valuable when you time and you match it in the direction where the industry is going, or you match it with the direction in which your organization is going.
Right. So, like currently, all the organization moving towards the Gen AI.
Mhm.
So you can think of having some learnings and certification on Gen AI, because
Yeah,
slowly, all the organization or most of the organization moving towards Gen AI. But like we are talking about Agile, if your organization are bringing any changes on specific framework, if you see in the cultural shift in your organization, try to gain that experience in early stage of that change, so you can be, you will get exposure, or you will get added to the main pool of the people who are going to do the hands-on work on that framework. So
exactly.
good tech, very nice. I
Mhm.
absolutely resonate what you're saying.
Mhm.
I also try to do always like that. So
Yeah.
moving on to, how much time we have? Yes, we have. So moving on to our last question of the day. Uh, some of the misconceptions or misconceptions of agile certifications. Anything that you would like to?
Let's see. There are a lot of misconceptions which are floating around the industry. And the misconceptions are on both the spectrums. One hand, there are
Right.
skeptics who think that certifications are not worth the paper that they're printed on. And on the other end, there are trophy collectors who want to get every certification that
Right.
there is out there in the market.
Hmm.
But then reality is somewhere in the middle.
Hmm.
Let's look at some of the misconceptions very quickly. Certifications are worthless. No, they are not. Yes, I agree that a certification won't steady your turbulent project, but then the learnings that you get out of that certification would make you a better professional. And with those learnings, perhaps you can navigate your project, you can navigate uncertainty, you can navigate your outcomes in a better way. Certifications are golden ticket to a better job. Another misconception. At best, it would get you past your ATS, but beyond that, what you have learned, what you have done, your personality, that takes over. Again, there is a misconception that certification is a proof of leadership. How can a certification teach you servant leadership? How can a certification teach you coaching under pressure? How can certification teach you servant leadership? It cannot. Those are real world experience which you have to live through. Those you have to fail, you have to be in those difficult, you need to have those difficult conversations, you need to be on the other end to gain those skills, and you get it over time. It won't happen overnight. And then again, there is a very prevalent misconception which even I'd be very honest with you here. Once certified, you are done. That was a misconception I
Hmm.
had, especially
Right.
while I was doing PMP, that okay, I have done a hard work, I am PMP certified now, I am done. But no, that's just the beginning. Because if you don't use those skills, it fades away. If you ask me
Absolutely.
EVM today, probably I would not be able to tell you because I have not used those skills for quite some time now. Because in my current work, it's not required. So I mean, if you want to be relevant, you have to keep investing, not in certification, but in knowledge. So even if once, even after you are certified, it's worth picking up the Scrum Guide again and then going through it,
Hmm.
not for another certification, but just to brush up your skills. You know,
Absolutely.
so what I mean, what I've read it somewhere that treat certification like a compass, not as a crown. It would help you navigate towards your the right direction. It's not something which you want to flaunt, but it is something which would probably make you a better professional over time.
Absolutely right. So learning never exhausts your mind. That's a one of my favorite quote. And
Absolutely.
like you
Great.
mentioned, it was pleasure talking to you, Subhabrata. Thanks for being such a wonderful speaker today. From entire audience and from me, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you so much, Nagesh. It was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.